And we are live with Joel, the Hitman Hart. No, just kidding. You remember Brett, the Hitman Hart from WWF? Did you ever watch that?
I never watched that, but I know who that is.
That's so funny. I've never actually called you Joel, the Hitman Hart. It just came out right now, kind of spontaneously.
Nice.
What's going on, man?
Not much, man.
It's the latest.
Studying machine learning and programming again, and kind of enjoying it.
Right. That's your next thing here, post acquisition.
We'll see.
You're diving into the AI world, right?
Yeah, so far that's the direction I'm headed. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, a lot of obviously there's been a lot of acquisitions and stuff like that. And I was talking to Isaiah Bollinger about that. He has an agency called Trellis, and we were talking recently about all the acquisitions and stuff. And it's interesting. I have to say though, so I'm a little biased because obviously I helped you with a little bit of hiring, a tiny bit of hiring for Mediotype.
You did.
But man, you really created a killer team culture for your dev team, I have to say. So I
think we did. I mean, we worked really hard at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine. I remember talking to you once at it was a pre-Imagine party, and you're like, "Hey, man, I need to do some hiring," and I didn't know you at that well at the time, but we ended up doing quite a bit. But yeah, man, it's a lot of the developers I talked to that I referred to you and stuff like that. I was just impressed by how happy they were with the team culture and the work and stuff like that. And
yeah,
how did you do it? What's the secret?
I think we put together really good systems and workflows, and just really encouraged a lot of interactions and practices that we found useful for team advancement, skill development, people having a culture even though they're working remote. I started off kind of building the whole system so I could work remote because the people I loved were like 2,000 miles away, and that way I could spend more time with them.
Yeah.
And that kind of transformed and evolved over the years, and really supported a distributed team well.
Yeah. And it seems like you built towards it for a long time. Like you would tell me you were kind of under the radar for quite a few years with not a huge team, and then you kind of ramped up quickly.
I think we tried to scale a couple different times, and things were going on that just made it challenging. Every now and then you have a hard project or something's going on. Yeah, I mean, we really dialed in the process and systems, and then we're able to scale.
Yeah. And I feel like, I'm sure the processes are a big part of it too, but I feel like you personally, just being a developer yourself, like you understand you understand the mentality, what a developer is what they're looking for. There's a lot of agency owners that were developers in the past, but I don't know. I just feel like you kind of uniquely understood what, your team needed and wanted, and how to keep people happy and stuff,
Thanks. Yeah, I definitely did a lot of development. I think it was north of 50,000 hours on Magento projects over 12 years. The early days, every project had a deadline, and you just worked in the evenings, you worked on the weekend, and did whatever you could to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting to see, everything going on in the Magento space today. It seems like it's maturing and growing up, and people are working on bigger projects. There's lack of clarity with the direction. It's a really interesting thing to watch it kind of unfold over the years.
Yeah. It's wild times. I think they just had the Magento Association Connect event, I think yesterday or today. I haven't watched. I've seen some tweets from it, but
you didn't go yet?
I didn't go. I can't do these virtual events, man. I just can't. I just can't get into these virtual events. I like the real. I like the real world events, or the one-on-ones, like the one-on-one podcast thing. You know, even though they're remote, kind of works for me, because you know you can just kind of get into a direct conversation. Like to me, it's the closest thing to like an in-person conversation.
Right.
But like, yeah, I don't know.
Hopefully, in person is coming back now that the pandemic's gone on for a while.
Right. So you're in. Do you want to share your where you're located right now, or is that
I'm out in Hawaii. Yeah,
Yes.
like over the last, I don't know, 15 to 20 years, I've really enjoyed working from Maui and Kauai and spending time out here. It's a really good, healthy thing for somebody that spends a lot of time in front of the computer.
Yeah. I got to give you props, man, because you inspired me to learn to surf. You were out in Hawaii telling me about how you were surfing and stuff, and then I was like, man, I got to do that. I probably would have gone to Hawaii, but at the time there was the quarantine, so I ended up going to Costa Rica. But yeah, man,
it's been a fun activity to pick up and try to get beginner at.
Isn't it crazy like how brutal the learning curve is? It's just like
totally.
So
and, I mean, everywhere is so different, man. I tried surfing with my cousin's family out in Maryland, and those waves come in so quick and just crash right over you. And it was after a storm day, so I mean, they weren't the best waves to begin with. But I felt like I just got my butt kicked, dude, versus some of the gentle waves that I learned on out here.
Yeah. And I think Costa Rica is one of the gentler, more beginner-friendly places. I mean, a lot of places in Hawaii that people would talk about as being really intense. Like, I guess, North Shore in particular. I'm sure it varies by time of year.
Yeah, I mean, there's some beginner areas, but I think Costa Rica is way more user-friendly.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Nice.
I had a buddy just go down to Peru and surf the longest wave in the world, dude. It's like...
No way.
Left brakes for 700 yards. You can ride it for over a minute.
Dude. So there was these guys from Alaska in the surfing group in Costa Rica, and they told me there's a wave in Alaska that you can ride for 30 minutes.
No way.
It's like there's like this one break, and there's only 2 waves per day. And you can ride that sucker for a full half hour. It's like so crazy.
Wow. I mean, full wetsuit. It's got to be cold water.
Oh yeah. And they were describing it to me, the stuff they would do out there. It was nuts. I mean, you don't think of Alaska as a surfing spot, but they just got everything out there. It's so big. But
cool.
What's the spot in Peru called?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up. Yeah.
Not Machu Picchu.
No.
Yeah. Nice, man. So should we get into some of the AI stuff that you've been looking into? And
yeah, I mean,
what do you want to talk about, man? This is your show. Whatever you want to talk about.
That's a good question, dude. I really enjoyed some of your recent podcasts, especially, talking about developer happiness as a KPI. I think we found that to be, the glue of culture.
Yeah.
We've all worked in different systems and processes and methods. And I think we found that when you can make things efficient for the people that, have to lay bricks and swing axes in the trenches, but still get the management and macros out of it that you need. It was a lot easier to deliver to our customers.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I mean, I'm telling you, like, I think I ended up replacing 32 developers with you or some crazy number. And I'm telling you, man, almost every single time, be like, hey, how's the new job going? They'd be like, I love it. It's great. I love the team I'm with, I can learn from. It's challenging. There's not a lot of the bureaucracy, blah blah blah. And man, that's it's hard to create that. It's hard to find that sweet spot. It's because it's hard to run an agency, right? Like it's like you have, it's a tough business.
It is. It's there's a lot of demand, a lot of expectations, a lot of software development. Not a lot of people have that much experience with high-level software development.
Yeah.
It's hard, and I think
It's very hard.
we really encourage pair programming. The common piece of feedback that I heard from multiple people was that they learned and grew, much faster, I think, working with our team than they had at other experiences they'd had in their career.
Right.
That was
exactly.
really cool. I felt really proud of that.
Yeah, man. How did you structure the pair programming in general?
Well, I think as a developer, over the years, I've seen people rack their heads against walls for 3 to 5 days only to figure out that they've got, a one-line code bug somewhere in the system that they built or somewhere under the hood.
Yeah.
And we just kind of had a rule of thumb, if you were stuck for 15 to 30 minutes, reach out and ask somebody to pair program with you and get a fresh set of eyes on it. And we found that just, plowed through blockers and kept momentum pretty smoothly and gave our people a chance to teach each other.
Mm-hmm. That's a really simple rule of thumb, man. I don't think we'd ever talked about that specifically before. Like that's cool. That's such a simple, and 15 to 30 minutes is relatively short. I mean, because you could, you could be stuck on something for 2 hours pretty routinely. So, that seems shorter than I'd imagine, 15 to 30 minutes.
I'm sure some people, went a little further before asking for help, but that was, that was the drum we beat.
Yeah, that's cool. It's cool because it's almost like, I think the problem as a developer is that, you don't, there can be like an ego. I mean, we all have egos, but you don't want to feel like stupid compared to your coworkers. Like there's this very, there's a lot of self-consciousness, and there's a I don't know what it is exactly, but I've seen it so many times, just like you're saying, like on the different teams I was on, where there's just this bias that we have as developers to not want to ask for help. I mean, everybody has that they don't want to ask for help, but there's something very specific about working as a developer where you will just go for, and then it's like the deeper you get, the less you want to ask for help. And then you're just like, it's a messed up dynamic.
Totally. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, what the developer ecosystem is like, I think, for Adobe Commerce as they transition into their next phase.
Yeah. What do you see as the next, what does the next phase mean to you?
Well, I mean, I think, we've watched it for years, right? Where Adobe kind of acquired Magento. They've got a huge set of business. They need commerce as a SKU in their platform. They really want to enable their customers to scale to a level that a large brand, really needs to support their operations. So I think, they'll probably continue to move things towards their microservices platform and, improve Adobe Cloud and just kind of go in that direction. So, long term, open source, I think, is really powerful, but, they're going to move their clients who are massive onto this commerce platform in a really positive and meaningful way. And I think it chews up, a lot of available developer resources, agency resources and engagements, and just kind of moves up market, right?
Yeah.
So, like any technology adoption, as complexity grows, something simpler tends to come out to serve the SMBs or kind of startups or new players. And, you see big systems move on to enterprise level stuff and, new stuff come out. So it's a lot of really fun stuff to watch. Yeah.
It's kind of the natural progression.
Totally.
Yeah. I saw some tweets with some screenshots from some slides that they had up, I think, for this Magento Association Connect event, and it was pretty cool. They had a pretty direct kind of mea culpa on the whole open source thing, where they explained some of the reasons why things had been kind of stalled up, which I thought was cool to see them be so kind of direct about it. But yeah, it's weird. Like when I take a step back and go like Adobe Experience Cloud having something open source, it feels like kind of outside of the box for them. Like it just feels, I don't know. I just kind of go like, where is this going to fit in long term? I don't know. I can be a little overly Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's got like, quite a few years ahead of it still before there's any major transition away from, code in developers' hands. But, it could go that direction one day.
Good.
Do you like these AirPods? It's the first time I've used them for a call.
Oh, really? Yeah, they're pretty good. They're it's funny. Yesterday, actually, they were out of batteries, so I didn't use them, and it was kind of nice actually, because like they just feel like a little funny. Like when you're talking, you kind of hear yourself in a little bit of a weird way. But
yeah. Do you have the new ones with the spatial audio?
Yes.
Yeah.
I tested out the spatial audio once online. I found some song or something, because there has to be a specific like song or audio that's like designed with spatial audio for it to work, right?
Yeah.
I think I listened to one song or something and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I think most of the songs I listen to don't have it. But are you rocking out a lot to the spatial audio, or?
Sometimes when I work out. I just got these like a few days ago.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. No, they're pretty fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. I've had these for a little while, but they're pretty cool. Like the noise canceling and stuff is really cool.
Yeah, it's a step up for earbuds. It's cool. Oh
yeah, no, it's nuts. I remember when I first put them on and turned on the noise canceling, and it's like all the volume in the outside world just goes vroom. It's like it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. We should
just
talk about some of the AI stuff if you want.
Sure. Yeah.
This
isn't directly AI related, but last night I was hanging out with my daughter and it's like, hey, let's watch some TV. She's like, okay, cool. And then, normally we'll watch some Disney show or something. I was like, let's watch a YouTube video on robotics. And so we watched it basically showed all the latest robot, from, stuff in Japan or our agricultural robots, industrial, Tesla, also it just is like a compilation of all the different robots and stuff. And it was so cool, man. It's like it's crazy all the stuff that's out there. But actually, it was the first time my daughter saw Elon Musk, because I'm always talking to her about Elon Musk and all the stuff he does, and she's like annoyed by it. She's like tired of hearing about it. And then she saw a picture of him, and she was like, "Oh, that's what he looks like? I thought he was like an old guy." And I go, "You've never actually seen him?" And she's like, "No." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's him." But I think I lost your audio. Sorry, you still there?
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
There we go. Yeah, you're back.
I said it's kind of like Bill Gates as we were growing up, right?
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so what's the AI stuff that you're getting into? You're doing a lot of TensorFlow stuff?
Done some TensorFlow stuff. A lot of the Python libraries are pretty mature for data science and mathematics. I've learned a lot of linear algebra. Learned a lot about quantum computing, which is, still a baby, but I think kind of the next big computing revolution, right, is quantum. I'm really excited to see Mac, reclaim their CPU production and, build out their own GPUs and machine learning cores. I think we're just seeing this massive transition in hardware capability, and software revolution that's kind of aligning to where we're going in the future.
I don't think what's the deal with Apple? They're making GPUs and machine learning chips.
Yeah, so they got rid of Intel as their chip supplier. over a 2-year transition, they're moving to their own silicon again, and it's really intentionally designed.
Like the M1,
so that they can,
like the M1 chip.
Yeah, like the M1, M1 Pro, and M1 Max. It was just announced. The new MacBook Pros run like 32-core GPUs on the high end, which is really cool. Plus a 16-core machine learning processor. So they're just, they're optimizing kind of operating systems and hardware towards, some of the things that I think programming is going to be able to do in the near future, especially as quantum comes online and you can really run experiments a little bit larger scale and faster. Like the GPT-3 engine, for instance, took something like 39 days to train on the data set and 100,000 parallel racked, GPUs. And I think with quantum, we're going to see that kind of training and processing time and real-time analysis shrink, massively.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
GPT-3 is nuts, dude. I haven't really
it's pretty cool.
played with it in a while. It's going to be, one of the things I was thinking about is like, you're going to have pretty soon a tool with like language to where I can do a voice filter that's, let's say, like your voice, and then I can say whatever I want to say, and it'll just create it in your voice. Or that already exists, right?
Yeah, I think that already exists.
Okay.
I think it's frowned upon to do it, publicly. But yeah, so you could already do that if you wanted to.
Dude, I saw this thing. It was one of these things where it takes a still photo as an input, and then it renders a 360-degree video of the thing.
Totally.
Have you seen these things?
I've seen it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like 2D to 3D is really cool.
2D to 3D. Yeah, that's nuts.
And I think a lot of what we see with AI right now is around image application,
right.
Image processing, image recognition.
Right.
Especially in the medical space, that's prime. But I think there's even bigger plays for AI as it starts to mature a little bit more.
Okay. What are the bigger plays?
Well, in business especially, I think there's a lot of stuff that AI can do to, work in the context of ERP systems and commerce systems and HR systems to really improve, directional and organizational competencies for companies. Even in sales, I don't know if you saw, but Adobe just announced a Sensei release of, product categorization for B2B. Product positioning. So that's like really interesting. And I think there's just going to be more and more of that across supply chains and manufacturing and a lot of places that AI is still kind of new to, right? For automation.
Right. So the Sensei thing, it like automatically generates categories for products, basically, or
more like positions, products, and categories. It's especially focused on B2B, but available for B2C users. And with B2B, they can even use stuff like pricing to help with product position on an account by account basis. So that's really cool. And I've been talking about doing that with Magento for like 8 or 9 years, and there's been a couple kind of intelligent, category and product management tools out there over the years. But I think it's cool to see this kind of go to the next level and be part of core.
Yeah. So it basically sorts products within a category, based, and it optimizes them in some way to drive sales. Is the idea?
Yeah, to drive sales, or even, you may have some wholesaler that you're selling to and they come back and order the same stuff over and over, or, maybe interested in a new product, and you get a lot of opportunity to deal with kind of the pricing and positioning to help just optimize the experience and preference matching for the consumer. So I think it's really powerful for commerce, especially B2C side. I can't tell you how many companies over the years spent a lot of man hours trying to figure out, just their product positioning on site and line it up with marketing and have teams make decisions about it. you know, but without the ability to fully understand the data that exists in their system, you know, that could help inform and drive those decisions.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious how it does it, or I mean, I don't know, like what makes it unique, the way that it sorts the products. I
wish I could look under that hood. I'm not sure how they've built it out.
That's interesting. That's cool. Yeah, Sensei seems like a pretty I wish I knew more about it. It seems like it does. It seems like a pretty powerful tool.
I think it's like most of the AI engines. Like if you look at, you know, Google Search and TensorFlow and, you know, all the other things out there, they're kind of like at the SDK level of software evolution. They're not quite at the, you know, framework and platform level. They'd like to think they are, but when you look at it from, you know, software development standpoint, it's still early. But you know, a lot of them have similar kind of algorithms and neural network and, you know, data crunching capabilities. There's different implementations and tuning, but a lot of them work with the same kind of models and math.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. It's a good analogy. It's very much at the SDK level. It's like there's tools that you can use to build things out, but the applications are. I feel like when you get an application that actually works within the realm of AI, it immediately just pops. Like you can talk about all these applications all day long, like this category sorting thing, but like when you get something that truly is like a true improvement in functionality, like GPT-3, it's immediately recognizable, and then like the internet goes crazy about it. Or like deep fake videos, like when certain things, certain AI functionality like comes to exist, it's immediately recognizable that it's just like 10x better than whatever existed before. It's just magic. It's just like absolute magic, you know. And before that point, it's like there's a lot of discussion around like, oh yeah, this is a cool feature, or this uses AI. Like everybody says they're using AI for everything, you know. Like it's like every new app these days is like AI based, you know, at least in theory, but.
Yeah, I really like what Apple did, opening up some of the machine learning libraries for TensorFlow, especially on Swift and Xcode. I played around with that quite a bit. A lot of it's image recognition, but there's a lot of powerful things you can tap into on the iPhone, iPad, the device level that, you know, give you some AI functionality in some application context, and that's really cool.
Nice.
But I think if you think about, I was talking with my cousin yesterday, and we were talking about, you know, a doctor may treat, or a surgeon may have, you know, 10,000 patients that they perform surgery on in their lifetime, in their career. And if you can take that kind of knowledge and data into AI and have, you know, AI diagnose rare disease, right?
Yeah.
And feed it with, you know, several surgeons' levels of experience, all of a sudden you've got this technology that can make decisions at a scale that somebody in a career basis couldn't, right?
Yeah.
And that's really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Like the what are the scans? What are those certain types of scans that like cancer detection or something like that AI is really good at? Radiation.
Like a radiologist, like a mammogram for breast cancer detection?
Yes, exactly. Like radiologist type stuff. That's a really strong application of AI, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
But, you know, in the future, if we can figure out like the ethics and policies and, you know, privacy laws and everything else, you know, there's no reason that AI couldn't, you know, be ran against every blood panel that everybody takes in the U.S. annually for their medicals, right? And have early detection for, different things that people are at risk for, already experiencing, or, potentially just help people tune their decisions that have influenced and affect their health, right?
Right.
And I think when we get to that point, we're going to see some pretty big changes in medicine.
Right. I just got to make it out to my physical. I've been putting it off. I got to get I got to get some basic ass blood work done that I've been putting off for like months because I don't want to set up a stupid online appointment. I'm so horrible with that stuff, man. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Actually, there's this dude, Roman. I can't remember his last name, but he was in Magento for a long time, and then he got into machine learning stuff recently, and I saw he posted recently that he built out. I believe he built out a data set with images to recognize paper, rock, scissors. It's like a data set, I guess, of various pictures of those hand positions, and so that you can use that data set to like build like a paper, rock, scissors type game,
Nice.
Yeah, that was cool.
I had a buddy of mine who's a professional gambler, and he's won a lot of money in his career, and they used to always joke about this rps.org site. It's a rock, paper, scissors site that's designed to teach you pattern recognition so that you map your opponent's pattern and know what to throw to win after you recognize their patterns. I always thought that was pretty cool.
It's funny because I swear, like with my kids, I can beat them like all the time, which I don't quite know why, because it should be sort of random. But I swear I can destroy them all the time, like no contest.
Do they keep playing against you, or do they just kind of give up and don't want to play anymore?
They do. They'll want to do probably 5 or 6 or 7. I mean, I'll beat them 4 or 5 times in a row. It's like I know what they're going to throw. I just know. I guess it's some kind of pattern recognition.
I don't know. Maybe you're sliding in at the end.
I do that too. Yeah, I do that too. That's funny. Yeah, man, the AI stuff is nuts. Self-driving cars. I want to get a Tesla. I still haven't gotten. I think I might rent a Tesla, and I want to see what the self-driving stuff feels like.
Yeah, and then I think the new Comma came out in the past few months this summer. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Comma AI, right?
Comma AI, they make self-driving car technology, and it's pretty easy to install on most modern cars. It's kind of cool.
That's really cool. I remember when I heard about that. I have a friend that's super into that guy that built that, Geo, I think his name, I think they call him Geo Hot, something like that. George.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
George Hotz, I can't remember. But anyways, yeah, he does like live streams and stuff, like live coding streams and all sorts of crazy stuff. Have you tried the Comma? Have you tried that, the Comma AI thing?
I haven't. I've been thinking about maybe doing that for Christmas. Nice.
I miss your truck. So we hung out Colorado recently, and I miss your truck's sound system. That's so cool, man. That was a beast of a sound system, dude.
I think it's just the stock sound system, but it sounded good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Nice, sweet, man. What else? What else have we forgot to cover? I guess that's pretty much about. Is that about cover it? AI.
I think we about covered it.
About covered it
stuff. Yeah, I mean, more to come. I don't want to talk about all the products I'm building right now.
Okay.
But I think there's a lot of opportunity, and I'm sure people will hear about it soon.
Yeah. Well, it'd be cool to see what you do next, man. I'm sure it's going to be a big success.
We'll see, man. I can't tell you how many little website businesses I built early on that could have worked, but never got enough attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the name of the game. Cool, man. Well, any links you want to share for viewers at home? Any particular places people should follow you?
Yeah, I mean, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to share some, AI learning resource links with you after the call. Maybe you can just put them up in the footnotes.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep, will do. By the way, LinkedIn, I have to say, man, LinkedIn is, I feel like, we were talking a little bit about acquisitions, and I feel like Microsoft does such a good job with their acquisitions. Like GitHub and LinkedIn are the two that come to mind. Like, people use people have always made fun of LinkedIn as being like this place they can't stand to go because they're getting hit up by recruiters left and right, whatever. But it's really become a content-based social network that people really use quite a bit.
Yeah, and it kind of stays professional, right? It doesn't have the, all the complaints about some of the more professional social media platforms out there that you see in the media a lot.
Yeah, exactly. It has its kind of niche. It has a clear kind of use case. Everybody uses it these days. I don't know, man. I see them iterating on little features. Like they added this little video feature where you can add like a 30-second video clip of yourself. And then if you're looking at somebody's profile page, it'll show you a quick clip of the video within their avatar. It's just these little finesse features that I notice. Some parts of it are still a little bit clunky, but I don't know, man. And then GitHub, I think Microsoft is doing an amazing job. I mean, they made private repos free. There's all sorts of cool functionality. There's that autopilot. The autopilot feature. Have you seen that at all?
No, I don't know anything about that.
I think it's GitHub Autopilot, where it basically it's an AI based engine.
Oh, this is the code writing system.
Yes. Yeah. It's
interesting.
It's super interesting. My buddy was telling me about GitHub Actions, which basically lets you do automatic deployments or automatic stuff. I think that's also free. It's just, I think Microsoft does a really good job with their acquisitions.
I think they've done better than like Skype and some of their past acquisitions. I'm really interested to see how Slack plays out, integrating with Salesforce. It's going to be really cool.
Right. That is going to be interesting to see. Because that one seems a little funny. You think Salesforce and Slack, and it just it seems a little odd. It just seems a bit unusual. Like, at least for me.
I think it's for me. It's hard to envision what kind of workflows might somebody who's at an employer go through on Slack and how it backs into Salesforce. I think the advantage that I see for Slack going into Salesforce is providing a message bus system that's incredibly scalable and robust. Mm-hmm. I think as Salesforce ties their technologies together more and more, they really need an optimized way to handle that message bus at scale. So, I think it'll be interesting to see where they pull Slack technology into their overall platform and how Slack fits into, workflow, behavior, and kind of the day-to-day practice that people who are running on Salesforce systems go through for their workflows.
Yeah. Now that you've exited your last company, do you use Slack yourself anymore?
I got a new laptop and I haven't logged into Mates Chat since. I apologize.
Nice.
No, I have not used Slack at all.
You're free. Lately. You're free from Slack.
Yeah.
Because most people. I actually don't use Slack very much myself, but most most people that work in tech are just into bajillion Slack chats, and it's just.
I used to be, man.
It's just constant. Yeah.
We used to pull our clients into Slack. And, set up Slack for our clients. I can't tell you how many companies we influenced some of the technologies that their teams used and practices over the years. And Slack was like, always one of them. If they hadn't used it before, they for sure used it after working with us. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any tips? I know we're getting ready to close it out now. Now I'm thinking of more questions to ask, but
cool.
You mentioned, working with clients, and I think that you did a great job of managing clients in addition to, building out your dev team. Like, for any agency owners that are watching, like, what tips would you give on, I know it's a very general question, but like, what tips would you give on managing clients, managing scope, keeping clients happy, like keeping things going in the right direction? How, like, other than being a unicorn that magically knows how to do it all, well,
that took a lot of experience. And I don't know it all, but for sure I would recommend distributed redundant responsibilities in your roles.
Okay.
I see a lot of companies. I mean, you look at like IBM in the 1990s, right? And I grew up in Boulder, so IBM's software consulting was a really, really large professional segment of our community. And you saw the way that they did things, which maybe made sense at the time, but since we've gotten better practices, and you have some of these old companies that are very hierarchical, and you end up with single points of failure or bottlenecks, right? And when you try to centralize, and you do it for the right reasons, because you're trying to optimize somebody for that responsibility or role.
Yeah.
But oftentimes in software development, cross-training and cross-functional roles and responsibilities really empower our primary roles and responsibilities. They make us more competent. And, so for us, I always really encouraged our client engagement teams to do some of the things that maybe another company looks to a distinct role, like resourcing or account management, for. And I found that level of distributed responsibility meant that as somebody new that came in, they could learn those responsibilities. So it was much easier and less risky, to lose somebody than having somebody, who holds all the keys and practices, and then somebody new come in and try to figure out what job they're taking over, right?
And then ironically, like the reducing the risk of losing somebody allowed you to keep your team happier, I guess, and maybe have a lower level of stress, to where they ended up not wanting to leave as often.
And you've got to enroll buy-in too, right? Like, teams function better when they own what they're working on. And that's across industries and verticals. When people are engaged and invested and own, some part of it, it's really powerful. So I think we did a good job of staying out of some of it, checking in for sure, influencing, encouraging, playing sounding board and counselor, but ultimately, I wanted the teams that had to do the work to define the processes. For sure, they started off heavily influenced by me. But after that, it took a life of its own. It iterated. I mean, you're constantly pivoting in tech, right? Because everything's changing around you all the time.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
So you're talking about redundant responsibilities, and I remember, of course, I didn't know everything about, exactly how Mediotype functioned, but I feel like you didn't have a ton of project managers. You had, every single hire was like a full stack developer. Like, I remember one time you wanted to hire a front end developer, and it was super complicated because basically your entire team could all basically do everything. You didn't have super specialized roles, right?
I think my background coming out of playing around with technology, when Gopher was popular, and looking at, Stanford's core sets and Gopher and Telnet, you build Linux servers and you build these core low-level technologies over and over and over, and learn and understand some of those problems. So for me, as I grew as a developer and engineer, working with Adobe Flex and electronic hospital records and financial reporting tools, and ultimately in e-commerce, it just made sense that I would become more competent writing front end code if I understood the services and back end data structures. So I found that for an engineer to really grow, it's best that they have some domain knowledge that's general, even if, the primary focus of their effort is on like writing new JavaScript components or something that's front end, to have a really comprehensive empathy or understanding of the other side of the equation. I think ultimately just leads to more powerful and quality work, right?
Yeah. I think so. And I always thought, like, I always had this, like, I always imagined if I ever did an agency, which I never would, like, the way that I would sort of do it. Because you run into so many complications, right, where you've got, like, the QA person, the back end, the front end, the PM, you got all these people, and then you have this coordination problem. And then it's like, I've just seen it so many times, things get kind of gummed up and slow down. But then, like, if you just, like, have a lot of, and then also it makes it easier to hire because you know the type of thing you're hiring for. So it always just made sense to me, that sort of a structure.
And larger projects can require, the first project I did back in like 2009 had maybe 27 people working on different technologies and layers of it. We had infrastructure, we had, database, we had tertiary systems that were really important and served, lots of people's jobs. And it was just really interesting to see the need for stuff like QA early on and how it could, benefit something. That being said, not all of the clients out there understand, the cost of it, the importance of it, nor are they, at a stage where they really want to fund it. So eventually you work with bigger clients that can fund some of those distinct roles, and you want, everybody on a project team to be cohesive and communicative together and effective. So you build those competencies later, but I would say for sure the core of our agency was extremely good engineering.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Joel Hart, good catching up with you, man. And
good to talk to you, bro.
Yeah, dude.
Love the new studio.
Thanks, bud. We've spent so many hours talking in person and stuff like that, and this is our first podcast together here, so good times.
Thanks, bro.
I'll
catch you later.
Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Later, guys.